Hi everyone, my name's Navina. Welcome back to the Medapply YouTube channel. Today we'll be answering questions that you've sent in for us to answer as medical students, and today's theme is revision and exams. So with us today we have Vacha.
Hi, my name's Vacha. I'm a third year medical student going into my intercalation year at UCL.
Awesome. So Vacha, are you ready to answer some questions today?
Sure, yeah, of course.
Okay, awesome. So the first question someone sent in is, what is the busiest time period in the year?
Ooh, I would say the busiest time period of the year tends to be around January, February at first, and then around exam season, so around April, May-ish. In January, February, depending on the uni you go to, you might have exams, you might have a lot of submissions. You've just come back from your Christmas break, so like a lot of things have piled up. You have a lot of revision and things to do. So I think it does tend to get a bit busy around there, but mainly your end of year exams around April, May. That's when you're really cracking down and studying and sort of managing your own time. So I think, yeah, those are sort of the main parts of the year.
Awesome. Yeah, I definitely agree with you, Vacha. Nearing up to the exam time, I think that's also when it's really busy for us as well. I think for us the first few weeks of the semester are sort of okay, and then as it gets like week 4, 5, 6 onwards, it kind of gets busier. But yes, I definitely agree with you. I think it definitely varies uni to uni.
Yeah.
So yeah, awesome. So the next question someone sent in is, how often do you study?
Oh, this one depends on the student quite a lot. For me personally, I tend to try and stick to a regular sort of study schedule. I'm not very good at cramming, so I try to do at least an hour of sort of reviewing my notes every day, just to sort of consolidate what I've learnt in the day, plan my steps ahead for the next day. If I have time to do more, of course, I will try to do more, but I think it's important to have a work-life balance as well. So I'll do at least an hour every day. Yeah. And then of course nearer exams, and we'll do a lot more nearer exams. Your revision comes in, you have less uni stuff to go to, so you definitely have more time to pace your own studying.
Awesome. I think that's a really nice answer. I agree with you completely. I think how often to study is different depending on different people and what works for them. But yeah, I'm very much like Bacha as well. I think I become really stressed when I cram, so I try and stick to something regular. So
I
yeah.
think as well how you study changes as well. You find your own pace as you go through uni. I think some people definitely find it easier to do more work at the weekend and study all in one go at the weekend. Some people find it easier to do little bits every day. So it's definitely based on what you think is most important for you.
Absolutely. I think that's really great advice. So Vacha, someone else has sent in, how often do you revise for exams?
Revision comes as part of the studying. So I'll be revising a little bit of the content every week, coming back to it when I review like next week's content as well. So I think it does just become a natural part of studying. And then, of course, coming nearer exam season, probably about a month or so before, I'll really start sort of getting down into the details of the lectures and the exam preparation, so doing like question banks and flashcards and really, really focusing on revision rather than learning new things. Again, it's different for every person, it's different for every uni. At UCL, all our exams are at the end of the year. So all the content is assessed all together at the end of the year. And that's quite a lot. That's a full year's worth of content. So for me, it works out well to start about a month or two before exams and spread out all that content so I'm not stressed. Some unis, you have exams every semester, so you're not tested on everything all the time. So for some unis, you can do like a few weeks of revision rather than, um, a big chunk of it at the end of the year.
No, yeah, absolutely. I was gonna say that the a bit different, like Vacha was explaining just now, a bit different to how UCL is we do have like semester exams, so um, it is sort of broken up on what they test us then, and they usually give us like a week before like a revision week, so that's where most of my studying comes in, like the reviewing for the exams. Um, but yes, I guess that that's very dependent on your exam schedule, how much time you can make out for pure revision.
I think for me, the pure revision side of it comes in mainly over the Easter holidays because we have a month or so where we have no lectures, we have nothing new to worry about. We just need to worry about consolidating all the information we've learned in the year, and there's no other commitments. I usually go home for that month, have my parents kind of support me at home, look after my stress and things like that. So really all I have to do is focus on revising rather than learning and like increasing the amount of things I know.
Absolutely, I completely agree with you. I think that feeling of like being whatever it is, like a holiday or a revision break or like a weekend, the fact that there's no new content is actually so reassuring that you can like
Yeah.
revise everything. Otherwise, it kind of
Yeah.
builds up. You're like, oh no, I have more stuff to do.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. I think Easter is definitely the most busy but relieving time of the year.
Amazing. So the someone else has asked, are med school exams tough?
Definitely, definitely they are. But I think it's a good thing that they're tough because they prepare you for when you go into the workplace. I think definitely as a doctor, you're going to come across a lot of tough situations. So almost preparing for difficult exams will prepare you for difficult situations when you start working as well. And it builds your resilience as well. It makes sure really you know everything you've been taught very well. It's very rigorous, so they're tough, but they're worth it.
Yeah, I think at times I find it really tough as well, but then the fact that it's challenging really pushes you, so it's good in that sense, I guess.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
But yeah, so on the same lines, someone has asked, what are med school exams like?
Right. So the content of med school exams does change as per different unis. Some unis will have multiple choice papers. Some unis will have OSCE exams. So this is a little bit like your MMI interviews, where you'll have little stations and you'll spend about 5 minutes with one examiner answering questions on a certain topic. Then you'll move on to another examiner, answer questions with them on a different topic until you finish the entire exam. These tend to be more for clinical skills. So things you learn, like taking blood pressure, for example, or taking heart rate and things like that. Some unis will give you scenarios and then ask you to write answers based on that. So really, the exam style will change depending on where you go.
Absolutely, I was just gonna say the same thing. Oh, there's another form I think that I can think of. It's called extended matching questions, which is like multiple
Yes.
choice, but they give you a whole list and they ask you to match like letter with term or definition with terminology or something like that. Is there anything else? I think that's about it for the different ways.
Yeah, I think there's not really a question type that's new at university. It's just the way they ask the questions. It tends to be more application based. So at school, at A levels, a lot of the time you could answer the questions quite straightforward as if you just picked it up from your textbook. But when you go to med school, you sort of start answering questions using your knowledge rather than writing down what you learned exactly. You're applying it to a certain scenario or a certain case, things like that. They're answers that you can't find easily just written down anywhere. You do have to think about them And I think that's the most challenging transition from school to uni. It's that I actually have to think about the answers. I can't just use past paper mark schemes or questions I've tried to do before. It changes year per year.
Absolutely. I was just gonna add to that. That's something that I found difficult, at least with the transition, and it's still something I'm sort of working towards. So yeah,
Mm,
I'd agree with you. That is the tough.
yeah. Yeah, I think we'll always be working towards that. I think because every year the content is different as well. So in first year and second year you're doing science content, or you might have some clinical stuff as well. In your last 3 years, you're going to have a lot more clinical stuff. So I think we'll always be trying to transition from year to year, from exam to exam, and that's good. It teaches us to be adaptable as well, which is really important.
Absolutely. That's a really positive and nice way to look at it. But yeah. Um, the final question that we have is, are they strict in med school?
Um, there are professional standards you have to hold yourself up to. Of course, as a doctor, you're kind of responsible a bit more ethically than other professions sometimes, not always, sometimes. And especially being regulated by the GMC, there's certain criteria you have to meet. But on the whole, it's a much more relaxed environment than you think. Anything is up for discussion anytime. If you have any concerns, you can always talk to your tutors. If you have any questions or any thoughts about a topic, you can also really openly discuss them in like small group environments. There's nothing really that's off limits, so to speak. You can really discuss anything that's on your mind. Um, so, in that sense, it's not really strict as such, in my opinion, at least.
I definitely agree with you, Vacha. I think a lot of people are worried, is med school going to be strict? Are they going to be strict? I think professionally, there are these whole set of like contracts and stuff that we need to abide by from like a professionalism perspective. But in terms of other aspects like pastoral care, they're often encouraging people to speak their mind out and be open, because I think a lot of people may be drawn back by that. So I definitely agree with you. I think even in our uni, it's very welcoming and open, to share your views and um, speak out if you do not like something. So I think in that sense, I would agree with you. It's not as strict and closed off as you may think it may be.
Yeah, and it's really important to remember that the medical school also recognize that you're not coming into medical school as a full-fledged doctor. You're coming in as a student, you're coming in as a young person who's, coming to university, maybe moving out of home for the first time, learning how to be an adult for the first time. There's a lot of things going on. It's a really important part of your life. So I think even the medical schools see that and they don't expect you to be perfect all the time. You're there to learn, you're there to get guidance, you're there to get advice, you're there to make mistakes and learn from them as well. And there's definitely space to do that.
Absolutely. I think that's a really, really nice answer to it. But yeah, I think that's all the questions we have. We hope you found this helpful, and thank you, Vacha, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.